Hello, you guys. I'm Mandy, and welcome to Held, my new podcast. So, the previous podcast, the Empowered Women Project, it just didn't align to me anymore as a person and where I'm taking my career. And so I decided that I would start up a new podcast. The podcast is called Held, and we don't have a logo. I don't have any intro music or anything fancy like that. I feel like all of that will come organically. But what I wanted to do was get straight into recording and have my first guest on and get right into it. So Held came from the idea in therapy that is talked about a lot, which is like being held or holding space for, or even holding on when you don't want to be here anymore. And I know it sounds really dark and deep, but female mental health and wellness should be accessible. Conversations around that should be accessible for everybody. And so that's why it was important to me to start up this podcast and have those really important conversations. I'm also studying towards my degree in psychology at Glasgow University, so I feel like it really aligns to both my dreams, which is to help people and to become a broadcaster. So selfishly, here we are again. So my first guest is Nadia El-Nakla, who has been a friend of mine for years, but wears many, many different hats. So not only is she the Deputy Lord Provost of Dundee, I did ask her if she's got the medal, she does. She's a psychotherapist, she is a girl mum of 3, and she is the wife of our former First Minister, Humza Yusuf. So today we're going to talk about all things resilience, we're going to talk about binge eating, intuitive eating, we're going to talk about communication and relationships. We have got so much in store for you today. So thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode, and I can't wait for you guys to hear the conversation. Hello, Nadia.
Hello, Mandy.
Thank you so much for making the trip to Glasgow to be on the new podcast concept, Held.
I'm delighted.
What was it that struck you about wanting to come and have a conversation as Nadia, not, all the many hats that you wear?
I think we've always just had a really good relationship over the years and never actually had the chance to meet up. So this is like the perfect opportunity.
Just get cameras
to
in. Just don't have a coffee. Just get cameras.
Yeah, just do it in front of everyone. Why not?
So I know that obviously a lot of people who follow me on Instagram know your face. And when I kind of did a bit of digging, I feel like I'm lucky enough to know you as Nadia, somebody who cares about women's rights, somebody who is an activist, all those different things. But when someone sees the title Deputy Lord Provost of a city, First Minister's wife, all those things, it's like, let's strip it all back. And who actually is Nadia? Who was Nadia before the public stuff?
Yeah, an activist.
Yeah.
I've always been an activist since the age of maybe 15, maybe 14. I just always found a cause. The one that I'm probably known for the most, and because I am half Palestinian, is Palestine. And that's what really drove me from a young age to study politics at university and take to the streets and protest. And God, I protested and stood outside for so many different issues. And it's just, there's such a community around activism. And it's just so important at every level that you're at to be active and to know what's going on in the world and to have a voice. Mm-hmm.
And have you ever experienced any pushback from back in the day with your activism? I know there's a lot of it these days, even with myself. Back in the day, was that a thing or not so much?
I'm 42. So there was not really much social media, which was fantastic. I think you'd have to go home and upload a video onto YouTube, and who had time for that?
I'm really glad that our student years aren't documented.
Yeah, so all my and fist pumping isn't so much out there, which is great because, there's no way I would have been as put together maybe, or just, as a woman and in politics and whatever title you have, it's easy for people to come after you. So, I think we're all lucky that we don't have kind of Facebook photos from our 16-year-old days.
Exactly. So obviously it was new to me to learn that you studied politics. I wasn't sure if you'd come to it later in life. So that was like your undergrad.
Yes, when I was 17 I started.
You were super young.
Yeah.
So you had that interest from your activism. So then further down the line, what shaped your decision to go into psychotherapy?
I think I'm the eldest, with my siblings that live in Scotland. So I've always worked around giving advice, and people have always came to me for advice or just wanted to talk, to be honest. And then I used to work at Amada, the Muslim Women's Resource Centre, and I managed a national helpline. And I've always,
they're amazing. I visited them once. They do some amazing work in Dundee.
Yeah,
Check
so
them out.
I did like the north of Scotland. My sister-in-law actually works in the Glasgow office. She does amazing work. So I really naturally kind of was in that role, and I just really wanted to kind of hone my skills and work out, you know, in politics you're almost like, you know so much, but you're a master of none, because you have to have such a broad base of knowledge around, you know, from housing to health rights to, you know, like welfare. There's so many things you need to know about in politics, and everything's changing all the time. So policies change all the time. What's important to people change. And so you're constantly moving. And I kind of wanted to have an in-depth knowledge of something. And I felt with therapy, I could have that plus those skills. I hope to take into politics as well.
Yeah,
so
they're really like transferable, right? Because people might come to you who are experiencing like homelessness or addiction and stuff like that, and then you've got the right kind of tools to help them. Yeah,
you need to have compassion. To be in politics, you should have compassion.
Yeah.
You should have compassion. You should be empathetic.
I think that's lost on a lot, but...
yeah, there's a lot that don't. But for me, it's like so important because ultimately you're a public servant and you need to be able to communicate well.
Do you enjoy interacting with your public around you? I say your public, I don't know what we would call it. Your constituents? Is that the right word?
I enjoy meeting people all the time. And when I worked for Shona Robson MSP, she was always like, it's life's rich tapestry, because you would meet really unusual people.
Yeah, that's why I love this. It's the same thing.
Yeah, so... yeah, rich tapestry. And so, no, I love being around people. I get energy from people. And yeah, I just want to be like part of positive change.
I hear you.
I feel I've always been like that since I was young.
And I know I was asking you because it's really exciting to me that you're Deputy Lord Provost, right? And I know you don't have that hat on today, but how did
chains
that...
on
I know,
today.
I was like, do you get
chains.
Has she got the necklace? You were like, I got the necklace.
Not today.
What does that mean for you, and how did that role come to be?
Yeah, well, as an elected councillor, the administration group, the SNP administration group of Dundee selects the Lord Provost and Deputy Lord Provost. So I was really privileged to get that role just a few months ago. For me, it's about representation. Politics is still, especially at local council levels, quite male dominated, and the role, you know, having a female is important. Having a person that's of mixed culture is important. Mixed ethnicity, Muslim. Like, it's the first time that I think any Muslim female has been in that position in Scotland. So, you know, representation is so important, and I think sometimes if you're not from a minority community, you don't understand that.
No, 100%. And definitely as a white person who has a bit of a platform, it's something I've really kind of tried to navigate and learn to sort of hand over the mic to people who are experiencing things that I'm not experiencing, and making sure my language is correct and not taking up space and things like that. But do you feel like you faced any discrimination with being sort of like aligning to two different identities?
I'm sure I have, and there's been, since, you know, I got bullied when I was in primary school, got called dirty Paki, and I used to say I'm not Pakistani, or like my mum would tell me to say, oh, your dad's from where Jesus was born. You know, so I'd use that line to kind of justify why I might look different. But yeah, you face racism, discrimination, misogyny throughout your life. But I've also faced like incredible opportunities. And I always believe you should take whatever opportunities come your way, because you never know where they'll take you.
100%.
So I am really privileged. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not. I've got a lot of privilege. And like lots of people, everybody has barriers. It's just how you navigate them, and also who's on your side. And I'll support you, and that's so important to have the right support.
And is there anything you think that people could be doing better to stand up to the subtleties of racism? I know that's a big question, but is there anything that you see day to day that people could be doing better?
Yeah, call it out.
Yeah.
Like, if your friends are saying things that aren't funny, or they're treating someone in a different way, or you notice yourself, like, we all have subconscious bias. Like, we all have it. The more you're aware of what that is for you and what that looks like, then you can battle against it internally. If other people aren't aware, then we should be pointing it out. You know, you treated that person differently, or is there some kind of issue, or just don't. Like, it's really simple. Just don't. Don't be racist. Don't be misogynist, and educate people. I think having that safe space. I think some folk now feel like, oh, you can't say anything. No, you definitely can, and people definitely do.
And actually, people appreciate. I can imagine people appreciate curiosity.
Yes,
you know.
Yeah, be curious and just ask, or just allow that person to possibly correct you. Like, just correct me. I will say things wrong all the time.
Just let me know. Great to be called out, then you go, right, I'll do better.
Yeah, like, it's never from a bad place. But yeah, just let me know that if I've said something and, you know, hopefully rectify it. Whereas some people are they don't want to just admit that actually maybe that was someone found it offensive and move on. It's the not moving on. It's the lingering around this that people then get defensive and it becomes into this kind of horrible space that you see online.
With your therapist hat on, what's the biggest relational pattern you see in relationships?
Communication. So it's really hard to live with somebody else. If you think about it, you know, even your siblings will have different communication styles and you're raised by the same people. So then when you're put into a partnership and you have to communicate through the good times and the bad times, it can be really difficult. And also your communication style yourself through your own experiences change. So communication, I'd say, is probably what most couples is the foundation that they come for. You know, you strip back what they're arguing about and it's actually how they communicate.
And what does adult to adult actually look like in terms of a partnership? Because we spoke the other day about sort of childhood wounds impacting adult relationships. How does that look?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I love transactional analysis. So
that's right. That's what I scribbled down in my notes.
Yeah,
right, let's go into it.
It's just such a fantastic thing. It should be taught in schools because actually it's self-awareness, I believe, as a therapist, self-awareness is like your key to not just growth, but improve relationships, every relationship, and improve your career, everything. So once you understand yourself and where things are coming from, it doesn't really matter what others say because you know what's going on with you. So transactional analysis, like the 3 ego states, so your child, your parent, and your adult. And the idea is we can slip into child and parent, whether it's authoritarian parent, whether it's free child, but we want to be in the adult state when we communicate. So that's what we're doing right now. We're communicating in the adult state. But, you know, if you ask me a question and I say, well, I don't want to answer that, and I go in the huff, that's me kind of slipping into a child.
Interesting.
Or if you ask me a question, I tell you, well, I don't appreciate you speaking to me like that. You know, you should ask me in a more respectful manner. Then I could be slipping into the parent. So that's a really helpful tool for people to understand. Couples also love knowing their love languages. Again, self-awareness. How do I receive love? How do I give love? And, you know, there's so many little quizzes online, but actually delving into that and actually realizing how someone might receive something and how you're receiving it is just, it's really interesting. And you can spend a lot of time talking about that.
And I know we've spoke before as well about just asking for what it is you want.
Yeah, knowing your needs.
Knowing your needs,
yes.
Yeah.
My husband would probably say I'm a bit too good at conveying my needs.
Boundaries queen.
Yeah, no, I am really clear. This is what I need and this is what it looks like. And it's important. Yeah. And, you know, it's important for me to hear his needs. But, you know, he's not a mind reader. Yeah. That's another thing that comes up in therapy. Do you think that's
where a lot of resentment comes from then? Because I was looking at this, I think it was a reel or something the other day that popped up and it said, you know, when I just play down my needs and say, I don't really need flowers, but actually you would have loved flowers, for example. Yeah. Do you think that's where a lot of the resentment comes from, is people just downplaying their needs and then being angry at something or offended at something that, again, the person's not a mind reader?
Yeah, why do we expect our partner to read our minds? Yeah. And also, sometimes we don't know what we want.
No, so, I think I'm in that camp.
Yeah, we're like, we're chill. We don't mind if we have flowers. And then it's like, why don't I have flowers? God, you don't love me.
I really buy myself flowers and then wonder.
Yeah, and then it's passive aggressive. And then you're like, I'm not loved. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't love me enough. And I bought you this. And then that's where it starts. It becomes a tit for tat. And
100%.
When people start to take tallies in relationships, that's when it's going down a slope that you're like, that needs to be rectified. Because in life, there'll be times where one does more for the other, and vice versa. But if you're always taking a tally, and then it gets thrown up in that person's face, that's resentment. So yeah, be clear with your needs. Now, if you're not sure, I did it last night. Humza got me dinner and I had said to my daughter, no, just get me a wrap. But secretly, I think I wanted chips. So he came and I was like, why didn't you get me the meal deal? And he was like, because the other day you didn't want chips. I said, well, maybe I wanted chips today. I actually didn't know that I wanted chips. And I let him decide, poor guy, and he got a right mouthful. And in fairness, I did notice that I didn't actually. And then my daughter Maya did pipe up that was like, you didn't want chips. So, you know, it's fine to do, but it's when you keep things going in relationships and then you bring it up a week later.
Yourself as well then and kind of going,
your self-awareness. I was acting ridiculous. Yeah, I was acting like a child.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of did want something that you didn't know that I kind of wanted and I didn't really know if I wanted.
And here we are.
And I'm annoyed. You know, and then once you recognise, God, that's not him. That's a me problem. And then you cut it short, you apologise, or you just move on. And it's not like written down in a book somewhere that you can bring up a week later.
Yeah. So as women in public roles, do you think that public scrutiny really affects our nervous systems, or is it, again, self-awareness and how we tackle it? Because you must have faced a little bit of public scrutiny, being the First Minister's wife, being from a minority group. I can't imagine how that was.
Oh yeah, more than a little bit. I've received a lot of scrutiny. My saviour is not reading it. So I'll get messages from people like, I'm really sorry you're getting a hard time, or, you know, you and Humza are really
like,
going through it. And I'm like having my coffee like, oh, what's happening to me right now? I don't know about that.
That is, by the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that is who I aspire to be. My problem is I could get 10 positives and 1 negative, and I'm on the negative, like picking it apart.
Yeah. If you have self-awareness, okay, I know I've got loads of flaws. And I know most of them. I think I would find it really hard if someone was like, there's a brand new one that I didn't know. Because I've had to go through all this doing my master's, okay? So they unpick you to build you back up. But God, I've got loads of flaws. So I already know. I would never value anyone that comes up in the street and just says something to my face like a complete stranger. So why would I value that online? I just don't value it. I don't value a stranger's opinion. I value the opinions of my family, my friends, my colleagues. I want constructive criticism. But a stranger who's nasty, that's a them problem. Happy people don't go online and belittle and abuse people. They're not happy, and their happiness is not my issue.
That's 100% true. And they're going to project, and it is what it is, and just sort of let them, you know, I think obviously you're a mother of 3 girls. How does one navigate, it's something I worry about in my future, how does one navigate having girls who might be online, a bit older? How do we manage that and keeping them safe and all those sorts of things?
So my daughter's going to be 17 in a few months, and I've tried to, for years, to say, like, don't send pictures. Okay, don't send pictures. People will ask. Be prepared that people will ask. Try not to do it, because once it's out of your control. So it's about trying to get them to be in control of their own story and their own life.
Shaming how they go about their life, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's like it's a balance.
It's
right?
about security and safety, and them being in control of what they want to share with people. And also not, growing up, I definitely had it, and I'm sure most women had, like, our value was definitely set on like how we looked. So at school, if somebody liked you or said something positive about you, like, it felt amazing. And it still feels good, to be complimented. It's a compliment. But that's not, what we only strive to be. No. So my 6-year-old, she was upset by a boy had said something to her. And I was trying to say to her, like, well, we don't value their opinion. 6, yeah. And I'm like, but what he thinks doesn't matter to you. What you think about yourself is what's important. And so, yeah, it's just trying to, like, we'll all fall into it, a negative mindset, or like looking for value and worth. But having it at home is the first step. So I've always given my kids Valentine's Day cards.
Oh,
and Valentine's gifts, yeah. Because
Valentine's.
I'd once watched a video that said if you give that kind of unconditional support openly in love at home, then they won't search for it other way. Now, I'm not stupid. They are. They're going to want it from a boy, right?
Yeah.
The love from your mum's not the same as a boy, but
I think what you're saying is very true. Without going into too much detail, I didn't have the best childhood, and actually I think that what I've been missing before, I've been searching for in men, and it's only now at 36 that I'm starting to reflect on the patterns that have fed into my romantic relationship. So I think what you're saying is massively important. If you send that message to them that they've got the core of unconditional love at home, they're not going to be out there searching for it in other people, because they've got it anchored at home.
Yeah. Or they'll start to recognise red flags or mistreatment maybe faster because they didn't see that at home. That's the hope anyway. But all you can do as a parent is try and just hope that whatever you're doing lands. There's no guarantee with any child that they're going to, take heed of your advice, which I definitely didn't take my parents' advice.
Me neither. You look back and you're like, oh, I caused a lot of grief.
My mum just sits back and goes, Karma.
She's like, excellent.
Yeah, she's like, ha, ha, ha.
And how important do you think it is that your kids see healthy, healthy sort of things modelled in their parents' relationship?
Yeah. Obviously, everybody argues and you try not to do it in front of the kids, but they're going to hear and see certain things. I think it's about the resolve as well. Like, I think I maybe grew up and things weren't resolved. Nobody ever really said sorry or spoke about it.
Things just got brushed under the carpet.
And I grew up in quite a shouty house. And even now to this day, because Humza's house wasn't shouty, we have a bit of conflict there because I express myself being loud and he expresses himself not being loud. So then that's like trying to then get to the bottom of actually where are we both going to be able to be in that adult state and be able to communicate without winding the other up or kind of
escalating beyond.
Yeah. And how, I have to learn to not shout, but I am aware of where it comes from, and it's a form of communication that you need to be aware of. So yeah, kids will mirror what they see.
As a woman in your position, everybody feels like they're entitled to comment, whether that's your activism for Palestine, your many titles that you hold. How do you protect your inner world and your wee sort of space when everyone feels entitled to make comment?
Yeah, so I probably go between two states. I go between I'm never speaking again and I don't want to share anything. And that'll be that.
Oh, it's
and
sad. Because I've had the same. It's so sad.
Yeah, but then I go to, no, I've got a voice and I'm going to be as loud as I want. And I think that's okay to go between the two and be aware of what's happening with you and just making sure you're at a point that you're comfortable with. I know that there'll be, whatever I say, it's always turned on its head. So even when I had that nursery complaint, which the care inspectorate held up that we were treated with disrespect and not equally.
Would it be okay to elaborate on that just for the listeners?
Yeah, so I had phoned a nursery. They told me they had space. I filled in a form with my daughter's name, said we're a Muslim, and then I very abruptly got told there was no space. This made me feel like it was odd. A few months passed, I did it again because I was hoping they had space. Again, no space. I asked my friend to check who doesn't have a Muslim name, and she got told on the exact same day they did have space, and then they followed it up asking if she would come in for a visit. I then did this a couple of times with Muslim names and every time got told no. And so I put in a complaint and the media just took it that I hate Anglo-Saxon names. It was the story is always twisted. So it's not that I felt discriminated against due to being Muslim. No, it was that I felt the nursery preferred white names. And immediately you have people going, well, I have a white name. Does that, what if you don't, so it turns the story, it changes the narrative completely.
But you're hateful and not actually saying I'm receiving hate.
Yes. Yeah. So it happened at work as well. The revolutionary idea to change council meetings to the daytime. Because when you're a local councillor, your meetings are, I get invited to meetings from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday to Friday. You can't get childcare for that. So, I did this proposal and the response back I felt was misogynistic because I was getting told it's not a gendered issue. And some of the write-up in the paper was that fury over my comments rather than my fury over misogyny.
I've come to you about an issue and here we are again annoyed. Everyone's annoyed at the backlash to the proposal that's going to help women.
A woman's been told that this is not a women's issue, and that was not it wasn't about the misogyny. Would I have the experience and the evidence? It was about the reaction. Yeah. So we're seeing that even with the Epstein files. It's all about the reaction than the victims, the crimes. It's
100%.
And it changes the story and it changes the conversation and the dialogue around it.
It changes the nuance completely. I was watching BBC News the other morning and it was things are really hard for the royal family right now. Tensions are high. How are they expected to work as normal when Andrew, blah, 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 blah. And it just made me reflect and think, what are we doing?
What is going on?
What is going on? It's some sort of dystopian world.
We're constantly in an episode of Black Mirror.
Yeah, we are.
Constantly. I'm I feel like I've watched this on TV.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm on edge. How are we expected to enjoy our cute little iced latte and just be a girl when there's genocide? I'm saying it in jest. It's not funny. But when there's all of this happening on the internet and we're being exposed to it, do you think there's a possibility we've been exposed to way too much? And that's the issue, one of the issues with social media. And I'm talking from a therapist point of view, our nervous systems, are we even wired to handle it?
That's an interesting question. And I think, again, it goes between a balance. Everything should be balanced in life. And we should know the news. We should know what's going on. I always put it from the perspective of, if that was me, what would I want? Yeah. If I was being bombed and my children were being slaughtered in front of me, I would want people to know. And then my reaction is, well, I would then want them to help. So there's that side of it where there needs to be accountability through us witnessing. We're witnessing the genocide. And across the world, we're witnessing horrific acts. And now we're witnessing a grooming and paedophile ring at the highest level of power, and we're almost supposed to just care about the gossipy side of that. Who's in it? You know, you had was it Victoria Harvey? I can't remember her full name. Just saying that if you're not in it, you're a loser. Thank God we're not in it. Thank God my husband's not in it. This is the language that's being used and then broadcasted and shared. So there's something about protecting your mental health. I 100% think you should. And that's why you should probably limit social media, limit how much you're seeing, and make sure you're mixing your content with lighter content.
Yeah.
But know that when you are watching things that are happening to others that are so horrific, us bearing witness for them would mean a lot.
Yeah.
So it's that fine line, isn't it?
I think it's a worry to me how, obviously my daughter's only 4, but it's a worry to me on how that might be perceived by her, living in a world where women's experiences are sort of minimised and not taken seriously. And even if somebody's reported something about President Trump, for example, well, he's been the president twice. What message does that send to young girls? Would your message to your daughters always be to just stand up for what's right? Just always, I guess, right?
Get in positions of power and influence.
Yeah.
Whatever field you work in, work your way to the top if you can. And when you're working your way to the top, take women with you, take allies with you, make sure that you're still standing up and being a voice. It's difficult to make decisions, by the way. I've seen that obviously at the highest level. And sometimes the public won't understand your decisions. Yep. But as long as you know that your intention and your advice and what you're working for is always for the betterment.
Integrity, right?
Yeah, for the betterment of others, then you can hold on to that. But I mean, we have to have those voices at high levels. So yeah, for my girls, for all women, get involved, be loud, make sure you're, and have knowledge.
And do you think politics, sorry to interrupt, do you think politics and activism is accessible for everyone? Do you feel like everyone has a way that they can get involved?
I think everyone, there will be barriers for people. It's not, again, for me, Shona Robson was just so supportive of me, gave me a job, supported me through different ways of being involved.
Do you think that helped your self-concept as well, when another woman looks at you and sees something in you and wants to sort of build you up?
Yeah. And she absolutely did that. And, we're really good friends. And I think having that, and that's what I think is really important for other people to do. And you don't have to be female to do that. Humza, when he was First Minister, more than half his cabinet were women. Yeah. And it wasn't due to trying to fill a quota. It was because they were the most suitable for the job. Yeah. So I do think take opportunities. Politics is different. You have to really, if you want to kind of excel and take opportunities and get elected, you have to pick a political party. Mm-hmm. So my advice is to pick a political party that you most align with. It can always change. Yeah. Of course.
I think that's what people forget as well, is we're changeable. And I think that's even harder in the world of the internet, because even myself, I'll be held up for things I said in 2017. And it's that's nearly a decade ago, and we're all learning and evolving and changing. And people make mistakes. And I think you've got to own that and take accountability and just always be moving forward.
Yeah, growth and having grace with people. We complain about things that other people might say or do, and I'm sure we'll have done exactly the same. Yeah. And just a slightly different skewed view.
Literally on Instagram, I only post chicken and veg. It doesn't mean I didn't go and eat 3 packets of crisps after it. But I'm in my wellness era, so it's fine.
Yeah. So, there's things you can say sorry for, and there's things that you need to be held fully to account, like what we're seeing at the moment at the highest level of power. So
we can't stop talking about it. That's, I kind of think, is the biggest message that I feel I want to send just now, is just that we can't make it go away. There can't be other news stories. I saw something earlier today which was trying to say that there's some sort of cure for cancer incoming. Rightly or wrongly, it's as if we're trying to overshadow the news, that everybody's no. We can't let this disappear.
Mm-hmm. It's a British culture, though. We get told, don't talk about religion or politics. So what are we supposed to just talk about the weather?
I know.
Should we not talk about things that are important?
And I saw an actress last week, Sydney Sweeney, saying that she doesn't want to be involved in politics and doesn't feel she's anything to do with politics. And it's if you have a platform, sadly, you probably align to something, whether it's the people you follow, the people you spend your time with, the views that you reshare. Everybody, I suppose, in a way, has a voice in politics, whether they're a politician or not. Yeah. If you have sway.
I think if you have, some people, so maybe politics political parties aren't for you, most people have an issue that they'll want to fight for. So whether it's better cancer treatment, whether it's, children that they feel passionate about in terms of like their rights and empowerment, there's normally an issue, drug reform. And that's where like lobby groups are so important. And that's why it is important to share lived experience. And, everyone's part of a system.
You're right.
And it's just, what is your role within that?
And actually talking about Shona Robison, MSP, and Alison Thulis actually were the two women who helped me get something that was very important to me into Parliament and in the Hansard and discussed, and laws changed. And you feel like, God, I just started a conversation online and look where it was able to go through the support and help and belief of other women. And that at the time was about, I suppose about 8 years ago, there was a lot of before and afters being shared by these weight loss teas and the advertising standards, like their obligation to that and things like that. And of course, it was important that was being challenged, because at the time I felt like I was out of the loop of the binge eating and stuff. But it was more my thought of young women looking at that and feeling like they need to look a certain way, which actually is a nice segue into my next wee part that I thought we could talk about, which is intuitive eating and binge eating and things like that. So what's your relationship been like with sort of food over the years?
Yeah, I definitely grown up had an eating disorder, and binge eating was then a part of that. For me, again, when I went through my master's, which, when did I, 2021, I graduated maybe 2022.
Time since COVID, sorry to
interrupt. It's just like this black hole. There was a time before my master's, there's a time after my master's, and in between that there was
AD
like
and BC
kids
now,
and,
pre-COVID, after COVID, there was a wee time in the middle.
So it was in the
middle,
so during that time, like I really, like I say, they pick you apart to build you back up. So it's taken me years and years and years to quiet food noise and follow like intuitive eating. And it's difficult at times. I think it's difficult just now because it's got a bit more sinister wellness, I have to say.
100%.
It's got sinister because it's like, you're strong. You just want to be strong. You just need to be building muscle and having protein, and that's fantastic for you. It is good for you. However, is it being underlined that deep down, the goal is still to be thin? Deep down, it's to be muscular. Deep down, it's to be hot. Deep down, it's to be sexy and attractive.
That is honestly...
And for a lot of...
That my mind is blown hearing that, because you're so right. Like, I've never heard it described like that, and it's so true. Like, I'm even somebody online who would say we want to build muscle, eat our protein, but you're right, underneath there's still those like messages from when I was reading Cosmopolitan as a teenager and all that stuff, saying the thinner, the smaller, the less space you take up. And I think I said this to you the other day, that like I've lost 4.5 stone over the last year, and sadly I feel like the world interacts with me differently as a smaller woman.
Yeah, there is pretty privilege.
Yeah.
And it feels nice.
Privilege, and it feels nice. That's another thing we can't deny, right? We can't shy away from the fact that it's nice to get more opportunities, to have doors held open for you. But it creates a bit of anger. It makes me angry.
The world is designed for people and women to be a certain size and way. Like when I was pregnant, I put on like maybe 4 or 5 stone. I couldn't get out of the car. I couldn't get into toilet cubicles, like in turn. And I started to think about people that were just in bigger bodies and how difficult that must be, struggling to get out of car parking spaces, struggling to use a bathroom just because you're in a bigger body. So the world is designed to be a certain way. The wellness industry makes a lot of money off women wanting to look a certain way. And, there's a lot of good work out there and there's a lot around health. But when we've grown up at a time where skin is best... Yeah, a lot. I found myself when I had a coach just a few months ago that I was starting to have food noise again, because I was like, can I eat that? Can I not? And before I built up a space where I didn't restrict.
Yeah. And like, not a lot of people know this about me, but I've been on and off like Mounjaro and Ozempic for a couple of years in order to get rid of the food noise. And for me, it felt magic that I had something that could just take that away. But it's not sustainable and it can't be forever. And I'm wondering, what would be your advice to people who want naturally to try and stop that food noise? You've done it yourself, so you know it can be done. Yeah,
but you have to be aware that you'll put on weight. So that I had to let myself put on weight, because when I removed all restrictions, I was like, oh, well, we'll have 2 donuts.
Yeah.
And I will have like a carrot cake every single coffee because I can and I'm allowed. But then what happened to it, I slowly began to not want that because I knew I could have it. So I just have a cake when I want.
Yeah.
Not when I think I'm allowed, like
Because
at the
your mind's
weekends.
not going, I shouldn't eat that.
Yeah, like, I can only have it at the weekends, or I can only have my one piece of chocolate when I'm watching TV tonight. It was like, you can have it whenever you want. But truly, like, it took me 3 years to strip that away. So I did put on more weight. And then it was like movement. Okay, well, we'll do reformers Pilates. I'll do weights. And I just started to do what felt good. There's
But
still
movement for enjoyment as well, right?
Yeah. And for like my back and for my aches and pains. There's still a part of me that, of course, slips back into like unhealthy eating. It's something that I think will probably stay with me forever. Yeah. And it's hard to get rid of. But I would say 95% of the time, I'm in a good space. And I used to be like, right, I can have this for breakfast, and I'd be driving after breakfast. When can I have lunch? I can have lunch. I can eat this. Okay, then oh my God, I don't have that anymore. It was so annoying.
It's debilitating. It is.
It's so miserable.
And you punish yourself for like the littlest thing. And actually now I feel myself slipping a wee bit back into it. So it's just about kind of like checking yourself. And I think it's good that we're talking about food noise just now, because I think it's something until recently we were all dealing with, but nobody's spoke about.
Yeah.
We're all sort of calorie counting and checking. And
yeah. And it's dressed up as health, but it's still just a form of...
It's disordered.
Disordered eating. But I think someone has said it many a times, I don't know where it originated from, but I just love that saying, like, your size and your weight is the least interesting thing about you.
It's so true. And that is why I think it's made me so frustrated that things are really opening up for me now. I'm slimmer. That is the anger, because I'm like, I've always had the same brain. I've always had the same intentions. I've always had the same beliefs, more or less. And it's like, how is this the world we live in? But it is what it is. It's what we do with that and how we move forward, I suppose.
Yeah. And generations change. Like I can see my daughter who's going to be 17, like her generation seems to be a bit different as well. And there's a lot of acceptance of diversity.
And they're not binge drinking at uni, let me tell you that. I'm a mature student. They're in their matcha Pilates era, and it's like, ooh, good.
Yeah,
good.
It's fantastic. I'm a landlady, and my flat has been rented by a student, and he said, "Oh, it's great. There's loads of workspace, so I can meal prep." And I was thinking, okay,
you're like,
what an amazing student.
That's great. Yeah, you're like, did I land lucky?
Students were doing when I was at university, meal prepping.
With 90p vodkas
and like pot noodles.
Yeah. So following on from intuitive eating, where is the line between coping mechanisms and addiction? Because sometimes it can be a case of like, okay, I'll just do this, I'll just do that. But then does that become then a disorder? I'm kind of asking, what's the crossover? Like, how do we know something's just a coping mechanism? And then how do we know it's like an addiction or a disorder?
I think asking your question, is that working out for me?
Yeah.
And I say that to clients, like they'll be telling me that they're doing something, but it's maybe not making them happy, or they're having difficulty with it, and then they keep doing it. And it's just that sometimes being asked, or someone asking you, well, how you're dealing with it? How's it working out? And you'll know yourself, like, actually it started to become really unhelpful and I'm struggling with it.
Yeah.
And it's become a problem.
Yeah.
And once it's become a problem and you know that it's a problem, you can work to resolve it.
Would you say that high achievers in life are more prone to addiction in its many forms?
Oh, I don't know. See, I'm not great with generalisation.
Yeah, we'll cling to that. Okay, and the one I want to ask you is, do you think that people are suffering from social media addiction?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they just not talking about it? Or is there a wee wave of people who are actually saying, I'm addicted and I need help?
I've not had anyone come to me as a client about social media addiction. I think, like, I probably have a social media addiction. I think not we're all, because that's unfair. I hate generalization, and I hate that with therapy. There's not one way to help everybody, and there's not one thing that everyone's suffering from. But we are lured into our phone a lot. Like, we're on our phone a lot. When I get told, like, from every week, like, you were on your phone for 6 hours, I'm like, oh my God. But I'm like, some of that was Spotify. The kids were listening to music. The kids were watching something on my phone. But yeah, like, just doom scrolling, or just scrolling at night when you're tired and you think, God, I could actually been reading a book. That's my kicker.
Yeah.
I could have read a book.
Depressing.
And then the next night I'm like, oh, I still didn't read that book.
It's okay, because I had a guy shouting at me about attachment on TikTok. Yeah. So this new podcast is called Held. What would you say makes you feel most held in this life, in this world? I know it's a massive question, but as Nadia, what makes you feel most held and supported?
Held and, do you mean like safe?
Yeah, emotionally safe.
Yeah, probably with my husband.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's an amazing answer. I hope that one day I can say the same.
I hope you can, because he just, whatever I need, he seems to give me. And even when it's difficult for him, or he's busy or stressed, like, that's never been an issue. He's able to put whatever aside and to give me that attention and that time and that space. But yeah, most people that I love and that love me, I feel
They are your safe space.
Yeah, and the kids, and not when you're on your phone and you're just But I live in Broughty Ferry, and we have this beautiful beach.
I actually love Broughty Ferry.
Yeah, like I'm born and bred there. Like,
I want to live there.
Never lived anywhere else, and apart from Dundee, and that, to me, I just don't tire of that view, and that just makes me feel so peaceful. I just walk along the beachfront, and I just feel really at peace.
And what should being emotionally safe feel like in the body?
Like you can breathe, like you can share anything, that you're not going to be judged. Sometimes not getting a solution is best. Just being able to hold the space.
Having space. Yeah, that's where the name came from, actually, because I feel like my therapist will often say to me, let's hold space for. And I think it's really important because, and don't judge yourself for different things that come up. I think I used to think, I can't be sad, I can't be angry, I need to be happy. But if you allow that to come up, you're less likely, I suppose, to get chronic illnesses and struggle with other things.
Yeah.
Because you're allowing it.
It's better not to hold on. And if you can release it in some way and bring it out and talk about it, it just takes it out of the body. And that heavy feeling that you can have, just lighten a little bit. And that's really important, just to how to have that release. You know, I feel it personally in my chest. Some people feel it in their stomach. Some people feel it in their throat. And it's just about how do we, that tension that's there, you know, how do we get rid of that and make it ease briefly or long term? Right? It's different for everyone. But there are ways, you know, some people, I hate breathing exercises. Don't know why. I just feel like, I can't breathe. And then I hate journaling as well. Journaling and breath work is brilliant for some folk. For me, it's saying things out loud. I'll be driving and I'll be just, all my thoughts and my feelings are just coming out and just being said. And that kind of exit from the body is like what helps me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just trying to work out what works for you.
And again, I think that's interesting because I think on social media we're sold a certain way of how it should look like. I would love to be a journaling girly with, you know, all that stuff going on. But it's not who I am.
Yeah, whereas my sister-in-law, she's a therapist and she's amazing. She loves it. She does it with clients and they really, and you know, I do it with clients if they like it. And that's the whole point.
I love the aesthetic. It's just not what's going to help me in the moment.
I'm a pluralist. So whatever works for you, you pull on and you use. I don't believe there's a certain one way to help or to grow and to learn and things like that. But yeah, I just can't be bothered journaling.
Yeah. The effort, it's a lot. Like
for me, it just doesn't work.
No.
Like it just doesn't work. No. And then I'll read it back and be, I didn't think that. Like I don't need the evidence of my thoughts.
No, that's one thing as
when
well.
I say it out loud,
it gets quite dark in there.
Yeah, so it's allowed, it's gone, no one's written it down, don't ever need to see it again. It's just gone. So yeah, what works?
Good. When we were chatting the other day, I took down a lot of notes and two of the words I wrote down that stuck out were courage and vulnerability. So my question to you is, what does courage look like in this season of Nadia's life?
Courage? God, I don't think I've ever thought about having courage.
To me, you're courageous.
Yeah. I just think I'm loud. I just think I'm loud and I feel like I can't hold things in. So I just say it. And I'm really blessed to have a space where I can say it. But for me, I've always been okay being vulnerable. Like I'll cry in the chambers if I need to, if I'm making a point, it's fine. I don't mind showing like a personal side to me at work. That, you know, because there's that saying, again, it's maybe cheesy, but it's like your emotions put you in motion. And that is very much how I am.
That's really true. I've never actually heard that.
The reason
that
I'll take to the streets to protest something is because I feel something. The reason I get in politics is because I feel something. Psychotherapy because I feel something. I feel a lot. So, and my connection with clients is because I feel and have empathy. And so that's the way that kind of works for me.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's courageous because honestly, when I put up something on my socials the other day about a journalist in Gaza and she left her whole family to stay and report on the news. All her colleagues have been killed. Her marriage is over. Her husband left and they've been apart for years and she is not leaving Gaza. That is courage and that's bravery. And sometimes I think I've not ever had to face
adversity in that way. Yeah.
And I hope I never do.
Yeah.
And I hope you never do. And anyone listening, I hope no one has to face that level, you know. But I know one day, like, my health will fail, I'll get sick, some people that I love will pass, and you know, it's just different. We're always moving through different chapters of our lives.
And just facing all of that scare you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, my biggest fear is leaving my kids so I always pray, like, let me go at a time where they don't need me anymore.
I know. Ruby actually said to me the other day, because her understanding of people passing on is heavy, but it's fine. Her understanding is that they go to the sky. That's as much as we've kind of like delved into it for her age and her level of understanding. And she did say to me the other day, what happened? Who's my mummy when you go to the sky? And you're hit with this instant like, because like, I'm not going to the sky.
I don't want to go.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I just said to her, I said, I'll always be your mummy, you know, like regardless of what happens. And but I think that from such a young age, younger than I was ready for, big questions do enter their minds, and it's just like, it's a continual learning curve, especially raising young girls.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And actually, touching on what you said earlier about your 6-year-old asking about image and identity, and even my girl is 4 and she'll talk about her big tummy, and you just are so, you don't get much of that precious time where they're unaffected by society and, like, I don't want to say beauty standards, but do you know what I mean? That's what it's like.
Yeah. My 6-year-old has already said that a few people have said she's got a moustache. And I'm like, oh God, how do we deal with that? Because she has a tiny little one. Like, it's just, she's just got a little bit of hair. So luckily I hadn't waxed or anything. I was like, so do I.
Yeah.
And that quietened it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can't protect them from everything.
No.
And society has standards and norms and things that work against us and things that work for us. And we just have to help them navigate.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming to talk to me on the first episode of Held. I really appreciate it.
Well done on your podcast.
Thank you.
I'm excited to see what you're going to bring and who's going to come. Yeah, you're going to do really well.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.